All right, hello, Programming 12. We're back with some more Dungeon Crawl videos, and today we are going to be making the character animated. So far, our character has been this circle, and that can be actually a pretty cool aesthetic. And I don't say that this is absolutely required for your entire game, but it's a cool skill to learn, and I think it will give us a bit of insight on object-oriented programming, things like pointers or references, and just sort of like reusing our existing code to do cool things. And so we're going to add in some animations, sprite sheet animations to our character. So I'll show you what we got going on. Here's my character, and it has been designed by our very own Lucy McLaughlin. So thanks, Lucy, for making this great art. She's making all sorts of art, pixel sprite art for our class to allow us to put in all these great, costumes and things. It's got a nice, cute vibe to it, and she's got less, more scary monsters and stuff that are out there. Multiple types of costumes for the character. I think it looks great, fantastic. So so much better than a circle. I know it's like a little dude in there. It's a dude. Love it. And there'll be multiple genders to represent all sorts of different people in the world. So I think that'll be really fun to add in. Okay, so this is going to be the video about how do we make this happen. So first of all, I guess I'll just take you through the setup of this. And I'm just going to start with the images itself. So if I was to go to my sketch folder and look in data folder, you'll see that all of my images that make up that character, it's going up, down, left, and right, those actions are all stored inside of this folder called man. I guess I called it man because this is the male character drawings, and there's going to be other genders later on for you to include. So we got man, and if I open that up, you'll see that I have a folder for each different action, and inside of each of these folders, if I go to down, for example, there's a bunch of different pictures. That's rather zoomed in. I'm not sure why the preview shows us that, but that's fine. It's just such nice detail. In some ways, I'm doing disservice to Lucy's art because it's so shrunk down in the game. You can't quite make out the beautiful art in there. But that's, we can always adjust the size and that kind of stuff to make it better. So anyways, this is your sort of kind of setup here. Notice the name, sprite _0, sprite _1, sprite _2, sprite _3. Like these are just the way we sort of name our animated GIFs as well. I have the left, I have the right, all in separate folders. So that's going to help us to organize when we go to load all these things. So all the different actions, the set of pictures that are in this are separated in folders, and you'll be able to download this. Lucy, we're going to be purchasing her art for the school, and we'll sign a license agreement with her so that you can use her art royalty-free within for non-commercial purposes and stuff. Of course, she'll still own her art, and she'll be able to take that and do whatever she wants with it. But we'll get to use it too. So thanks, Lucy. That's nice. So anyways, so that's the setup. And you can download this off of Teams. There'll be a zip file. You have to unzip it and put it into your data folder. So once you've done that, then you're going to make some animated GIFs. So, just like we made our, intro screen animated GIF or whatever animated GIFs you're currently using, we're going to be using each sort of set of actions. We're going to turn it into an animated GIF. Technically, the files are PNGs. They're not GIFs, and they were never, in the GIF format. So in some ways, it's a misnomer to call it a GIF, but what we mean is a sort of animated picture by that. It's not technically the graphics interchange format, but that's okay. GIF has multiple meanings. But the main thing is that I'm using the animated GIF class that we made, and I'm going to be loading each separate picture. So notice that it's in the man folder, and then in the up folder, and then I go from here. And so this is sort of our prefix. I have to include that information about the folders, and then I also have my suffix as just .png for the way I've set this up. I've also put in like how many pictures there are, and this is the delay or the rate. So every 10 frames we move to the next picture. And you can play around with these, and depending on what sprite sheet you're using, if you're not using Lucy's, then maybe you're going to use a different set of sprites, and that's great, but you will have to tinker around with these numbers. I'm not even sure if 10 is quite the right number. I have to decide. But I do know there's 4 images, and I know that they start with this, and I know they end with .png, so this is a good setup. So I've made 4 different animated GIFs. I got up, down, left, and right. Each one corresponds to a different action that the character can take. And maybe we'll add in more later on, but this is all that's going to be required for the project. Okay, so once we've made these animated GIFs, there is one other feature that we need to add into the animated GIF class, but basically it's exactly the same. There's just one feature. I'll show you right now. So I'll go to animated GIF, and this is it here. Basically, it's the same as what we had before, the animated GIF class. We still have the constructor. There's 2 constructors for me. Actually, I include one that lets me set the rates, which is how fast we switch from one picture to the next in terms of how many frames. But our show function is insufficient. Currently, our show function is designed to show like a big GIF as a background that covers the whole screen, and it's hard-coded to be sort of at the center, as well as spread across the entire screen, the whole width and height of the screen. So that wouldn't be good for our character. It would not be able to follow where our character goes, and it would not be able to be like small. It would take up the whole screen. So no good. So what instead I've made is a show function, an overridden show function, so an additional show function that takes some parameters. Basically, it's going to have parameters for where is this GIF and how big is the GIF. And those numbers get sent from the hero class, and we'll see it in action. But basically, whatever numbers we get sent, we'll, instead of drawing it at the center of the screen, we'll draw it at those coordinates. And instead of drawing it like the whole width and height of the whole screen, we'll just choose to draw it however wide and tall the parameters get sent to us tell us to. So that's the story there. I'm using the rate. Not everybody put that in. I think some people got kind of stuck on the rate, so that's something that you might need to add in for your version. My rate is as such. I'm just taking in this, so that's the story there. Okay, so that's my animated GIF class, basically exactly the same. And while we're just mentioning this, it's kind of cool to realize that we're reusing this code to do something that we never really intended to. There was at no point while we were making the animated GIF class where we had ambitions to do character animations. So it's cool that we can repurpose these pieces of code without much difficulty. And that's one of the beauties of object-oriented programming. This modular technique of building programs is kind of like Lego, right? You can take a Lego brick and we can use it for many different kinds of models. So we can take this animated GIF. We made a slight change to it. We added a little bit to it. But that's kind of Lego-like too, right? Like adding, improving the different modules and recombining them in all sorts of different ways. So that's a really nice feature. So let's now go and see in the hero class how we're making use of these animated GIFs to create the illusion of the character walking around and so on. So I'll go to hero. And first off, I'll just mention that my hero now has an animated GIF instance variable. So this will be something that you might want to add into your enemies and maybe even bullets or you name it, like whatever it is you want to have as a sprite, some kind of drawing as opposed to just a circle or whatever rectangular. That's going to be a useful thing. So our hero now has this current action animated GIF. Now you might notice, hey, current action, I didn't make that yet. There isn't actually any of these options, right? Like these are the GIFs I loaded. Current action isn't one of them. And it's true that this starts as a null pointer. Oh, sorry. Get back to hero. Hero. I need a hero. It's not one of those options. It's currently null. So what this variable represents is it represents a reference or a pointer to the animated GIF that is its current action. So if you're walking up, then I want current action to be equal to man up. If I'm walking down, then I'm going to set current action to be equal to man down. And it's almost like it's going to just kind of be a placeholder for any one of those GIFs. And I can assign current action to be one of those GIFs. And then I just always animate current action. So that I never have to wonder, which one is the current action. I just assign current action to be that GIF and just always animate current action. So I'll show you what I mean. So first of all, One thing that you'll have to worry about is null pointer exception. So make sure in your constructor, you do choose a default action. So here's me saying current action equals man down. That's the walking down action. It doesn't have to be man down. It could be whatever you think is appropriate. But I think that's a good one to choose. So I picked that one. Looks great. So when I start the program, current action is pointing to man down, and then I just start animating current action. So here's current action being animated. In the show function, I just tell it to animate. And here I'm using my new show function, the one that takes in the parameters of x, y, width, and height. So I just send it the x and y of the character, the hero. And then I also will choose the size. And I'm making the size of the GIF like a little bit shrunk, just because in the file I think it's a square image, which is great, and I think that's the way I want them in. But I was noticing that it was getting kind of stretched out and looked a little funny. So I wanted to honor Lucy's amazing art, and so I just sort of made the width like 50% smaller, basically, than the height. Doesn't really matter too much, but you can do it. But check it out. I just animate current action, and when I start the game, as you saw in my constructor for hero, I set current action to man down. So how does it start? It starts, well, it did. It immediately changed, but you saw a brief glimpse of it. It started at that. But there's code, of course, that's going to change it. So when I change it, I just assign a new GIF to current action. So let's take a look at that. And basically, I'm doing that. You can do it a bunch of different ways, actually. And for this particular example, I'm just going to use my velocity to determine which current action should be pointing to. But if you wanted to do it when you press a key or anything like that, then you're most welcome to experiment with that and see how that works. Depends on your character. Depends on the design that you're going for. So here's how I do it. I should mention that drawing my health bar. Where is it? Here's draw health bar. So that's just an extra function I have to draw the little health bar that's on the top. It's no big deal. Here it is. I don't know. I should not have this hard coded. The numbers are gross. Please don't judge me too harshly on that. I know I need to clean that up. Just kind of hacked it together last minute. So anyways, let's see. Here is this is the whole if statement for deciding which current action I should be doing. So first of all, I take a look at which is greater, my y velocity or my x velocity. And notice I'm using abs. That stands for absolute value, which is a mathematical operation that gets rid of the negative sign. Basically, it just takes the positive value of the whatever's in the parentheses. So if this is negative, vel.x is negative. It just temporarily turns it positive for the purposes of this. I don't want to compare like which number is further along the number line. I just want to see which number is closer or further away from 0, positive or negative, right? So here I'm checking to see, hey, if my y velocity is bigger than my x velocity, so in other words, if I'm going up and down more than I'm going left and right, then I choose either a down or an up costume. And else, I'll choose either a right or a left costume. So this is how I will pick what sort of GIF I'm using. I use the word costume. That's sort of old-fashioned language from teaching Scratch. So there's in Scratch we have animations, and the sprite sheets are called costumes. So I get stuck on that wording sometimes. But basically, I'm choosing which animation I want to do. So the logic here is basically, hey, if I got more y velocity than x velocity, then I just check to see, hey, am I going up or am I going down? If the y velocity is less than 0, I'm going down, I guess. Or no, sorry, if it's greater than 0, I'm going down. So I set current action to down. If that's not true, I'll set current action to up because I guess it's the other way. I think I might make this less than or equal to 0 just so that like man down gets the down action gets preferred when I'm not moving. I think that's kind of cool. And then I have this sort of the else to this statement is, hey, what if x was the bigger velocity? If x is the bigger velocity, then I will definitely go in and choose either right or left. And that depends on whether it was a positive or negative value. So if x is positive, That means I'm going to the right. If I said the x of the velocity was negative, I guess I'm going to the left. So that's all I have to do. I just choose which animated GIF I assign to current action, and then in my show function, I'm just always animating current action, always telling current action to show. But it's changing. It's depending on what is the action that I'm actually doing. And of course, that's connected to my velocity, which I control with the keys. So it all kind of works together nicely. And you get this nice effect. And so you're going to get a chance to put this character in. There'll be other actions and other characters that you'll be able to get from teams. Like I said, the school is purchasing Lucy's art, and so we'll make it available to you. And if you are, fond of that and you're happy with the costumes that she's doing, that's great. We eventually like to have a variety of different art because some people will like different styles, but that's probably not going to happen before the end of this project. But eventually we'll have a whole library of art to choose from that we're asking students to make, and we're going to purchase from them. However, in the meantime, you might find stuff that's online and you want to use those things instead, and that's great too. It might be a little bit tricky, so to adapt it to the way we're doing it, because I'm sort of prioritizing making it work with these sprites, but I'm sure you can adapt it. It's not infeasible to make that happen. So that's the story about how to make the costumes change. I think it's great. I think one thing I'd like to do is just like, when the character stops, I think one thing I like to do, if the velocity is 0, just show like the standing costume. Just show it like just stand in there. I think that would be a nice additional feature for me to add in, as opposed to it's just constantly chugging away. I know Soul Knight does that, like the character is constantly moving, which is fine. Like I think this looks pretty cool. But if you're thinking about that, then that's an easy thing to add in. I don't think you would have any trouble, making that based on this system. You could make another animated GIF called "Standing," or "Idle" or something, and then set your, just have one picture in that animated GIF, and that would work beautifully. So yeah, that's the story. I hope you had a good time with this video, and find those resources on Teams, and I look forward to seeing awesome characters moving around and doing cool stuff. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day.